Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompiani, and thanks for joining us. Happy Labor Day weekend. We have a lot to get into. The Pirates have won 8 out of 10. So what does it really mean? We'll talk about that. Also, the Pitt Panthers, losers at home in their opener. When will this cycle of mediocre football end for the Panthers? But the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown will be the Steelers and the Patriots. Are you ready for Week 1 football? Because it'll be the game of the week, no doubt. And here to discuss that with you is our panel tonight. Left to right on your television screen, Mr. Tim Benz, Trib Live over there. Thank you, Tim, for being here. In the middle, it's Mark Caboli, who does an outstanding job with The Athletic covering the Steelers, and Paul Zeiss, Post-Gazette columnist and also host of the radio show, The Paul Zeiss Show. And that's also part of the grilled cheese sandwich that I've yet to try, but one day I will. Anyway, we digress. Paul, I want to start with you on this one because we're going to look at Steelers, New England right off the bat. Unlike 2015, when this was the talk for like months upon months leading into, they opened with New England up there and lost. This time, there hasn't been a whole bunch of talk yet so far. Does that help the Steelers in terms of going up there and playing Week 1?
No, because I think there'll be a lot of talk this week. I mean, I think this is still, one of the premier matchups in the AFC, and it always will be. I think the history of these two teams is well known. The recent history of these two teams are well known. I think that this will be a game that by the time we get, game time, will be plenty of hype. And I think that it really comes down to, can the Steelers figure out a way to win up in New England against Tom Brady, which they really haven't been able to do. So, no, I just think that we've been caught up in preseason, and now that we start, it's game week, this will probably be the game that everyone talks about next week.
I do think it helps them maybe on the intangible side that bleeds into the tangible side in the sense that it's not just what Bob is saying. It's not just an outside perception that there's been a lack of buildup to the Patriots opener as opposed to recent seasons. Joe Hayden, who wasn't there the first time around, but he kind of said, look, I've had film in my iPad since May. And here we are just now starting to talk about it. Bud Dupree, who has seen this before, referenced that it feels like it's been a slow burn up to New England. And I think that's a good thing for them because I feel like the Steelers build it up in their minds so much that by the time the first work week rolls around in advance of these openers that they've had when they've been the Washington Generals in the banner-raising night, they outthink themselves. See, for instance, 2015, the reverse to Antonio Brown that derailed the first drive that really set the tone and ended up being a Patriots victory.
I think it's a good thing, actually. I don't think they really have much of a choice either. You really couldn't look ahead while you were in this time frame of where you don't want to create any drama. Could you imagine what we would be talking about if all the Steelers were talking about was the Patriots during training camp? So they were probably thinking about them, but they knew that they couldn't because they had to present that united front of just being a team. I think that will change this week. How important is this game is my big question is, do they have to go in there and win it? I don't know because you know what? I'm one of the few people here that don't think the Patriots are really living up to that Super Bowl moniker. Okay, they won all these Super Bowls, but I don't think they're as good as the team right now. If the Steelers can go in there and set a tone, winning a game, and that's probably the biggest thing about this game, is to set the season in motion more than the AFC
Yeah,
rankings.
but you appreciate or devalue the importance of playoff implications. New England has been so good, Mark, at home. In the playoffs, the one thing you want to do is kind of get them out of that. On the road, they're not the same. So, Tim Benz, I mean, from that point of view, even though it's Week 1, I still look at playoff implications because I do think these two teams at the very end will be part of that equation.
Well, I'll amplify that, Bob, and I'll quibble with what Mark had to say there. If you don't think the Patriots are as good as they've been in years past, then perhaps they are a 4-seed or a 3-seed as opposed to a 1 or a 2. Or if you see them dropping down to, the 2 ranks and the Steelers are going to win the division at 10-6, as so many people seem to believe, then this is a big one. Because what if they're 10-6 and the Patriots are 10-6? Then this head-to-head comes into seeding or a bye. So I do think it's big. Actually, in some other years where the Patriots are going to be 15-1 or 14-2, 13-3 anyway, well, gee, you lose to them like everybody else, and you just try to get into second place or third place, depending on where the other conference rankings fall as far as your divisional championship alignment.
How about worry about getting to the playoffs first, which they didn't do last year, and then start worrying about
Yeah, but it does
conference
carry.
Then every
It
loss
carries that
matters. Then every
overriding.
loss is huge.
Every
then.
game matters. Every game matters. I understand that, but if they're thinking in terms of that, then their focus.
No,
is
I'm
in
not.
the wrong-
They're
their
not. I'm
focus
not.
is in the
I
wrong
am.
place because they should be thinking 100% about just beating the Patriots and figuring out how to do it. They did it last year. It was here.
Yeah, but that's not the question. The question is, I understand their point of view, and you're right about that, Paul. The question is, though, when we look at it here, playoff implications should come into play, shouldn't they? Because if this team ends up with home,
I got to be honest with you. In the NFL season, even though it's only 17 weeks, it's such a long, grinding marathon. I can't get with.
Well,
the
you know what?
playoff
Actually,
implications.
Paul's got a point, Bob, because think about it. They beat the Patriots last year,
I
and
know.
it meant nothing because of the crap that they pulled on themselves in Oakland, Denver, and Cleveland.
I get
they
that.
beat the Patriots, and it meant squat because they blew it so many other times. I know, Mark, they're just a few plays away, but they blew it so many other times and so many other lesser teams that it meant nothing that they finally beat the Patriots.
Actually, Benzie, I think it was one play. If Baker Mayfield wouldn't have thrown that interception, they would have been in the playoffs. So.
Oh, okay. How about their kicker doesn't slip in Oakland? That would have helped.
All right,
Or
Ray,
miss one against Cleveland. That would have helped.
we have more coming up. We're going to continue this conversation. We're also going to talk about the AFC North. And do these guys think the Steelers still are the dominant team, or is it Cleveland? Buy or sell? That's coming up. In the meantime, you know the 2-minute drill, don't you? Well, now it's the 2-day drill, because you have to hurry up and get to #1 Cochran Labor Day sales event before the clocks run out. Tuesday, get the summer's best offers plus up to $1,000 in extra savings. That's an extra $750 over KBB for trades and an extra $250 savings on any new vehicle. It ends Tuesday at all #1 Cochran locations and Cochran.com. It's open Labor Day, 9 to 5. We'll be right back. The #1 Cochran Sports Showdown is brought to you by #1 Cochran, Go One Better, and by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. Have a greater hand in your